strong, forceful hand. Artistic. You are a writer, a musician, perhaps an actor. Wait. I think you are an actor.
I imagine I'm supposed to be impressed. Obviously, you recognize me.
I have no idea who you are.
Oh, don't be absurd. I'm John Frederick.
You've had many love affairs, and women fall easily for your charms, but you quickly tire of them. Likewise, I can see you have many enemies.
I'm not going to pay you for stuff you read out of the gossip columns. Tell me about the future.
I do not wish to tell your future.
Can't you mean? You're all the same fakes.
Very well, then. I will tell you. You have no future.
Why, you cheap crook. You liar. There's your money. Not that you're worth a penny of it.
Something to drink for you, sir?
Charlie? Well, for such an evening as you plan, Inspector, cocktail not necessary. But small glass of sherry might be acceptable.
2 dry sherries, please.
Very good, sir.
Well, let's hope the evening lives up to expectations. You know, it's a funny thing about an opening night. If the play's a success, there's nothing more exciting. If it's a flop, it's the most depressing thing in the world.
I understand Mr. John Frederick is apt to appear only in plays of successful variety.
He certainly does. Well, he's a fine actor. By the way, if you'd like to meet him, I'll try and take you backstage before the show.
Oh, would be most honored.
I can't promise anything. He's temperamental. He may refuse to see us or be rude to us if he does. You want to risk it?
Possible rebuff would be very small price to pay for a chance to see Idol of London Theatre. Nevertheless, I hope he reserves temperament for passions of the play.
Back in?
Yes, Mr. Frederick. Beck!
Yes, Mr. Frederick?
I'd like to remind you it's opening night. For heaven's sake, look more lively. Don't want another shambles like last night.
Shambles? What shambles?
Missed light cues, props in the wrong places, slow scene changes. The whole thing was a mess.
Well, no one expects dress rehearsals to run on oiled wheels.
I do, Beck.
You do? Well, what about you? The prompter might have played your part for all the lines you blew.
Don't speak to me like that again, Beck. Don't ever speak to me like that again. Competent fool. You're only here on sufferance. I wouldn't forget that if I were you. No mistakes tonight, my friend. You're out on your ear. Understood?
Yes, Mr. Frederick.
John?
Yes, Margaret?
I want to talk to you. Come in for a minute. We've got almost an hour to curtain time. Why crucify the poor little man?
Beck? Because he's a rotten stage manager, that's why.
He's not. He's rather good. You know, you enjoy crucifying people, don't you, John? Beck and me.
I wondered how long it would take to turn the conversation round to you.
Then why didn't you call me? You promised.
Oh, something came up. You know how it is.
You said that last night and the time before that.
We're opening tonight, remember? I've got things to do. Plenty.
Is it another woman?
Oh, don't be absurd.
It is another woman. Is she young and beautiful? An ingenue? Quite a pleasant change from crow's feet and a sagging chin line, I imagine.
I tell you, there isn't anyone.
And you're lying, aren't you?
All right, I am. There is another woman. In fact, several other women. They're young and undemanding. They don't try to devour a man like you do.
Oh, I could kill you for that. Get out. Get out!
Get out of my way. Just a minute, Frederick. What do you think you're doing?
Did you order my big scene in the second act to be cut?
I did.
Why?
Because it was dull.
You mean it kept you off the stage for 5 minutes?
All right, if you want the truth, you can't play the scene. You haven't the talent.
Jack!
You'll be replaced, Vane. Make sure of that. You better start looking for a job you can handle, like selling shoes or washing cars.
Good evening, sir.
Get me out of this. For heaven's sake, Brendel, must you be so clumsy?
I'm sorry, sir.
I've only got one left, Brendel. I can't be without. You better get on to Dr. Mohr and tell him to send round some of those new ones.
Oh, don't you remember, sir? You asked Dr. Mohr to see the show tonight and he couldn't come. He had a previous dinner engagement.
Blast him. I can't do without anything. You better go down to Val's and get some of the old sorts. They'll see me through tonight.
Vows, Mr. Frederick? But there's some distance away. I shan't be back in time to dress you.
Oh, heaven's sake, man, you're no help to me anyway. Get a move on.
Strange you should say that, sir. Just about 15 years ago, the opening of your first important play, you said exactly the opposite. Always be there to dress me, Brendel, you said. You bring me luck.
Overture and beginners, please. Overture and beginners, please.
Okay.
Overture and beginners, please. Mr. Frederick? Mr. Frederick? Mr. Beck! Mr. Beck! There's something the matter with Mr. Frederick. I think he's ill.
Phone his doctor.
Okay.
There's not much need for a doctor. He's dead.
I'll notify the office to cancel the performance. Excuse me.
I'm Inspector Marlowe. Mr. Frederick, please. He's expecting us.
Mr. Frederick? There's been an accident, sir. He's in number 1 dressing room. He's dead.
After the call boy found him, Inspector, I had his doctor sent for. He should be here soon, by the way. But when I examined him, it was obvious from the heavy blow on his temple that he'd been murdered. I was about to call Scotland Yard when you introduced yourself. The rest you know.
Did anyone other than those present come backstage after Frederick arrived?
The doorkeeper says not.
Or leave?
Only Frederick's dresser, Bendel. He went on some errand and hasn't returned.
One moment, Inspector. With your permission, one question.
Go ahead.
Strange makeup of Mr. Frederick's was necessary for a role?
No. I think that whoever killed him did it to make him look as grotesque as possible. That it was someone who hated him.
Anything else you can tell us, Mr. Beck?
No, I think that's all.
Stop playing Sir Galahad. Tell the man some essentials. You had a row with Frederick before he was killed. We all did.
Did you?
It was nothing. He ticked me off for a few mistakes at dress rehearsal, that's all.
There's more to it than that, Inspector. Beck's been Frederick's whipping boy for years. Ever since he proved him responsible for a backstage fire that nearly wiped out the theater.
Your nose isn't very clean either, darling. You had to be forcibly restrained from hitting him when he told you had no talent and had to be replaced.
If we're throwing brickbats around, darling, let's tell the inspector about that whiskey glass you threw at Frederick. And about the quarrel which led up to it when he told you he was through with you.
Right, I heard him say that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please. Matter of enlightenment. Can any person in this gathering say with truth they did not have desire to kill Mr. Frederick? Humble suggestion, Inspector. Since motives and suspects are more numerous than pebbles on beach, suggest we move more closely to scene of crime.
Why not? You will remain here. I'm detaining you all for the time being. find the weapon, it'll be a help.
Of course, I must point out that backstage of theater is most appropriate place to hide same.
While they're out of the way, I think I'll have a quick look at their dressing rooms. Coming?
With your permission, Inspector should like to remain here. Perhaps second search of room might prove more fruitful.
Suit yourself. This is Dr. and Mrs. Mohr. Mr. Chap.
How do you do?
Dr. Mohr's been attending Frederick. He's going to examine the body. There you are.
Oh, yes.
We were at a dinner party when they phoned the news through. It's dreadful.
Yes, indeed, a very great loss to theater. Mr. Frederick was a patient of your husband's for some time?
About 2 years. But we were friends as well. Who could have done it, Inspector?
It's too early to say, Mrs. Mohr. We haven't found the murder weapon yet.
Murder weapon? Whose idea is it that John was murdered?
What do you mean he wasn't?
He died of a heart attack. I've been treating him for heart trouble for 2 years. Well, the wound on his temple would never have caused his death. It's quite superficial.
I have learned much to bear out Dr. Mohr's opinion regarding heart attacks. Doctor, did you ever prescribe these for Mr. Frederick?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And this?
Well, it's a doctor's sample, isn't it? Oh, yes, he was trying those.
Found same on dressing table. Now, please observe. Mr. Frederick is seated at table prior to show with heart pills located here. He starts to apply makeup, suddenly seized with terrible spasm from heart. Great pain forces him to place hands over face, thereby causing grotesque appearance. He tries to rise, go to door, call for help, but falls. Head strikes leg of table, leaving smudge of makeup. He returns to makeup table with slight concussion. Now, only thought is, show must go on. He again starts to apply makeup, again seized with severe spasm, reaches for pills, but too late. He falls. Dead. Would you agree, Doctor, that death might have occurred in this manner?
I should go further, Mr. Chan. I should say that's exactly what happened.
Well, that's that. Not often a murder turns out to be a case of natural death. Right, Doctor, the police are out of it. I'll leave you to arrange the removal of the body.
I'll notify the mortuary.
Well, I'll tell the others they're free to go home.
One moment, please. Manner of Mr. Frederick's death is now clear. However, cause still obscure. I am of opinion late lamented actor was murdered.
Why do you think he was murdered, Charlie? You heard what Dr. Mohr said.
Added to fact that many people wished to kill late actor is also one disturbing point. And this disturbing point makes humble ex-policeman suspect crime has been committed.
What point?
I would prefer to check same first, please.
All right, what do you want me to do?
Suggest you detain all people involved until cause of death has been determined.
In any case, the whole thing's completely unnecessary. I'm convinced he died of a heart attack.
old Chinese saying that truth, even when hidden at bottom of well, must be pursued until revealed.
Okay, you win. I'll tell the others they can't leave. I'd like your attention, please. I'm detaining you all till the morning.
Oh, I say, look.
No argument, please. I'm fully empowered to enforce my decision.
You're not empowered to keep us cooped up here all night. Well, look at this room. We're not cattle. You've got to let us out of here.
All right, all right. You can move about backstage, but nobody's to leave the theater.
All right, outside, everybody, please.
Who are you?
I'm Charlie Chan. I am supposing you to be Mr. Bendel, dresser of Mr. Frederick?
Yes, that's right. But what are you doing here?
Investigating death of late Mr. Frederick.
He's dead?
You mean you did not know?
No. Well, I'm not surprised. He had it coming to him.
Please to enlighten Mr. Bendel. You came from stage door to this room. No one noticed you or questioned you or told you about his death?
That's right. Nobody notices old Bendel.
Then I presume you could have left earlier and returned again.
Yeah, I suppose I could.
I see. Further point of enlightenment. What was nature of errand you were about?
Well, I went to Val's, the chemist, to get his nibs a new supply of pills.
And you have been there all this time?
No, Frederick and I had a set to before I went, so I stopped off at a pub to have a few drinks.
I am tempted to believe you. And now, may I see the pills?
Oh, if you want. He won't need them anymore.
Thank you.
Sorry, sir, I didn't think anything of it. He just walked in.
Randell?
Yes, sir?
We've been searching high and low for you. Where have you been?
Well, I went to the pub for a few drinks, like I told the other gentleman.
What pub?
Inspector,
Yes?
where's Dr. Mohr?
I let him go home.
But why?
Well, why should I keep him? He wasn't here at the time of Frederick's death.
I have a very important question to ask him. Humbly request he be brought back right away.
Yes, but... Oh, all right. Have Dr. Mohr picked up and brought back here straight away.
Yes, sir.
I shall leave you for a while, Inspector.
Where are you going, Johnny?
To check on small disturbing point.
Help us, sir?
Yes, I am in great hopes that you can. These pills, were they purchased?
Yes, that's our label, all right. Mr. Frederick's prescription. His dresser was in for them about an hour or so ago. Made them up myself. Nothing wrong, is there?
What is in these pills?
Well, it's a compound, but the main ingredient is digitalis, a heart stimulant.
And you have made up these pills with digitalis for Mr. Frederick frequently?
He's been taking them for 2 years or more.
And this digitalis, it is dangerous?
In its pure form, it's a poison. An overdosage could cause at least serious complications. At worst, death. It's a cumulative poison, you see.
Cumulative?
Collects in the system, sir, so that every overdose makes the next one more dangerous.
But dosage on this box is not dangerous.
Of course not. I told you he's been taking them for 2 years. Yeah. Anything happened to him?
Yes. He is dead.
Not from taking those pills, he isn't.
I do not think so either. But now, if you will be kind enough to indulge me for a few more moments. Was this purchased here?
No, sir. Everything has our label on it's passed over the counter. But I can tell you what this is.
Yes.
A doctor's sample. Pharmaceutical houses send these out to interest physicians in their new products.
And what is this product?
Well, I can't vouch for it exactly, but the manufacturer's formula here indicates a digitalis compound of toxic strength.
Toxic strength?
Near its pure form. In other words, a heavier dose.
Now, if you will be so kind, please turn bottle round and read instructions on back.
Good heavens. 3 pills at a time? 1 would be the maximum dosage.
You have been most helpful, and I am most appreciative. Thank you very much.
What news, Charlie?
Inspector, soon all except one may take their departure.
You know who killed him?
No, not yet, but I hope to very soon.
Oh, well, hurry up about it. I'm sick and tired of being stuck here.
I shall endeavor to oblige. Now, let us proceed in sequence. Mr. Frederick was a man of many enemies. Motives for his murder are numerous, but method by which it is done only available to certain persons. And now from you, Miss Archer, or more correctly from report of your quarrel with Mr. Frederick, we learned that he was much the man for the ladies.
You can say that again.
Then let us theorize. Considering method of the murder, which could be called a medical murder, shall we suppose Mr. Frederick became enamored of the beautiful Mrs. Mohr?
You've no right to suppose anything of the kind.
Only theory, Doctor. But now for a real fact. Mr. Frederick was killed by an overdose of digitalis, a drug prescribed for him by Dr. Mohr.
Go on, Chan.
Suppose then Dr. Mohr discovers relationship between Mr. Frederick and his wife. He decides to kill rival with digitalis.
Are you seriously suggesting that I...
Only supposing. It would be impossible to alter prescription since chemists might divine murderous intention. But another solution. A sample bottle for doctors only of high toxic strength. Also a label which says, take 3 when required.
I'm not going to stand here and listen to this.
One moment, please. An occasion arises to offer Mr. Frederick the bottle. Try these, my friend. They may suit you better. Then once, twice, 3 times, Mr. Frederick takes the toxic dose. An overdose which accumulates the poison in his body until the 4th time. Then he dies. Could it happen this way?
I gave him the bottle. I admit that. But I told him to take only 1. Occasionally.
Tell me, Doctor, you have a secretary?
Actually, no. My wife does, Matt.
Yes, I thought she did your typing. Mrs. Mohr, you had a matching bracelet to the one you are now wearing on your arm. I found it in the drawer of Mr. Frederick's dressing table. Trophy, perhaps?
Yes, all right, I did it.
Why?
You don't have to answer, Stella.
Oh, what does it matter now? He said he'd marry me. And then when I asked my husband for a divorce, he wasn't interested anymore. He deserved to die.
I was willing to let bygones be bygones.
So what? Can't you understand? I loved him, you fool. If I couldn't have him, nobody else could.
Take her along to the yard, will you?
Yes, sir.
Well, the rest of you are free to go home. What was the small, important point that made you think it was murder, Charlie?
I had great curiosity as to why pills, which in England are usually taken from boxes with handwritten instructions, should at time of death be taken from bottle with typewritten instructions.
Nice work. But why so gloomy?
Always very unpleasant to have to prove beautiful woman guilty of murder.
That's part of our job, isn't it, Charlie?
However, one consolation. Most lovely ladies do not take life. They give it to mankind.